guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tanya, and sitting here is Savannah, my daughter. And today's video is a serious video. I had talked about in one of my vlogs last month that I thought I would finally open up to you guys about how my mom died and how that affected me and that sort of thing. It happened 3 years ago. And Savannah's gonna also talk about kind of how it affected her life and her emotionally, and especially like for her age that she was and things like that. But before I start talking about my mom, when my mom died, I was gonna give a little backstory to, for a couple years before she died, she had started to act a little strange, and she was starting to think that like people were eavesdropping on her or following her or stalking her. She was kind of paranoid, and I was thinking that a lot of that had to do with like anxiety, but I was like, I really do believe she had anxiety, but anytime I told her that, she'd be like, it was almost like, how dare you say I have anxiety? Like, it's the worst thing in the world somebody could ever tell you. But she took it that way, like, how dare you say I have anxiety? Like, but I really do to this day believe she had anxiety.
It almost became a running joke in our family, like how, like, kind of crazy she acted.
She would act really crazy. She had moments of clarity and moments of being normal and stuff, you know. She wasn't like all crazy all the time, but yeah, she had a lot of those moments that even anxiety wouldn't explain. So I don't really know what was wrong with her. She wouldn't ever go get checked out to see what was wrong with her, so no one really knows. As an example, one of the things that she would do that's not normal at all for anybody to do is, okay, so there was one night when I was the only one home, and Joe and the kids went out of town. I don't remember where they went. And me and my mom hung out that day. So we were hanging out, having a great time. I think we went to a carnival, we went shopping, all these fun mother-daughter things. This was like 3 months before she died. All fun stuff. She was normal, everything was great. We came back to my house and we watched a movie together, and then finally, probably around 11 or 12 at night, she's like, all right, I'm gonna go. And so she left and I went to bed. Well, a few hours later, I heard very, very loud pounding at my back door, and I could hear my mom screaming my name. I could hear pound, 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 Tanya, Tanya, open the door, Tanya. And so I left my bedroom, I came back to my back door, and so that door has a bottom lock and a chain lock. Apparently I forgot to lock the bottom lock, but the chain was on, so my mom was able to open the door, but the chain was there. So that's why she was able to scream in the house. And so I opened it, and I was just like, what are you doing? Because I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning or something. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, where's it at? And she starts screaming at me. And I was like, where's what at? And she's like, my wallet. You took my wallet. And I didn't take her wallet, and I didn't know what she was talking about. And I tried talking to her, but she was, at that point, it was like the person who I hung out with earlier that day was not the person that came to my house that night. She was totally different. She was mean. She was losing it. I did not take her wallet. I sat there talking to her for like 5 or 10 minutes, trying to explain to her I didn't have her wallet. And then I said, look, let's retrace your steps in my house and just see where all you could have set your purse, or where you sat down, or where maybe it fell out of your purse. I don't know. So she had spent some time on my couch watching that movie with me, so that was one of the spots I checked. And underneath the pillow, her wallet was underneath that pillow, like in between the couch and the pillow. So it fell out, and she thought I stole it. And I was like, I'm telling you, I didn't steal it, Mom. You were sitting here all night. I didn't know it was there. And she didn't believe me. She thought I was lying. She thought I took her wallet, because it's totally normal for a person to take their mom's wallet and then when they think they got away with it, go hide it in their couch. Like, That's not normal. And she just refused to believe me that I didn't take it. She swore up and down I took it and I hid it there, and I didn't. And that was one of the things that, you know, it was like she was two different people sometimes, right? She was like two different people. I don't know. There was something wrong with her mentally that she didn't have all her life, because she was a normal person my whole life. But that's one example. So, okay, so September 2nd, my uncle got married. That's my mom's brother. And the whole family went to the wedding. My mom was there. Everybody was there. And my mom was completely normal that day. She was herself. She danced at the wedding. Yeah, she was just, right? Like, you talked to her a lot. I don't think I even talked to her very much.
I sat next to her,
Yeah, and I didn't really talk to her a whole lot at the wedding. I mean, there's a lot of people there, but yeah, she was herself. So it's just weird how those days where some days she was totally herself and some days she was just not at all herself. A couple of days later, I remember it was a Tuesday. So earlier that day, I called her and I asked her if she wanted to meet us at the mall later and hang out. And she said, yeah, sure. So we were on our way to the mall, and I got a phone call from her saying, yeah, I'm not going to make it. And she was totally being different. She acted like really mad. And I was like, well, I mean, you can come later if you want. We can wait. And she's like, no, I'm just not going to make it. And I asked her why. And she said, somebody broke into her apartment and, like, did something to her boots. Like, they were torn up or cut up or
moved.
They were slightly moved. Something happened to her boots. And I was like, well, I mean, people don't just break into people's apartments just to move their boots and touch their boots, Mom. And that just really sent her over the edge. She was mad at me for saying that, like, that I didn't believe her. And this is the paranoia in her. Like, she really thought someone broke into her apartment just to do something to her boots. But no one did. And I knew no one did. But she was mad that I didn't believe her. And so she was like, fine, she was mad at me. And she's like, I'll talk to you later. And so we didn't see her that day. Then sometime later that week, because it was the next week was my birthday. And so I asked my mom if she could babysit my kids, so me and Joe can go out and enjoy my birthday. And she did that every year, so she said yeah. And she was supposed to babysit that next Saturday night. And I hadn't heard from her, so Friday night, I don't remember what we were all doing, but the four of us were out anyway, and we decided let's stop by Mom's apartment because I hadn't heard from her. And I think it was like 9 o'clock at night, and there was no answer at her door. But her car was in the parking lot. I could hear the dog barking. But it was only 9, and my mom was the kind of person that always stayed up late, so 9 would be too early for her to go to sleep. But I was also thinking, well, maybe she was tired and went to bed anyway. Maybe she took her hearing aids out. Maybe she's taking a late shower. I don't know. And I got back in the car, and I think I remember saying something like that to you guys too. Like, it's weird that she's not answering her door at 9 o'clock.
Or maybe she's still mad and she ignored you.
Yeah, maybe she's just still mad at me and she's just ignoring me. So, but then I had this really bad, weird feeling that none of those things were it. I had a feeling that none of that stuff was it, but I was trying to make myself believe that that's what it was. So I texted my little sister, who at the time was living 3 hours away in St. Louis. And I said, Mom's always still awake at 9 p.m., right? And she said, yeah, why? And I was like, well, I just went over there and there's no answer at the door. And she's, I can't get a hold of her. And she thought that was really weird. And my sister, and we had no reason to think anything, but her reaction was even weird. Her reaction was, oh my God, is she dead or something? And when I read that, part of me was like, I was thinking the same thing, and the other part of me was like, how dare she think that? Why would she think that? But I think I was just mad because I thought the same thing, and I didn't want, I was like, why would that be it? Of course that's not it. And I was like, it's okay, Brittany, I'll just come by again tomorrow, and I'll let you know. She's like, all right, keep me posted. So the next day, we went back out to our apartment sometime around early afternoon, I think, which was the day that I was supposed to go out for my birthday, and she was supposed to babysit. And I was getting mad that she wasn't answering my phone or anything because she was supposed to babysit for me. So I was like, I understand that she might be mad at me right now for not believing her about the boots, but I'm mad that she's not answering, and she's supposed to be my babysitter for tonight, and she wasn't answering. So we went back the next day, knocked on the door, banged on the door. I started banging that the upstairs neighbors came down and was like asking me what I was doing. And I was screaming mom through the door. But there was still no answer. And I knew that she hadn't left and gone anywhere in that short amount of time, because her car, not only was it still in her parking spot, but it was still parked crooked in the same crooked way that she had parked it the last time she drove in there. So we could tell that she hadn't moved and gone anywhere. So then there was a part of me that was like, this isn't right. I should probably call the cops to open this door because she's supposed to be my babysitter and stuff. But then another part of me was like, no, she's just mad at you. She's ignoring you because you didn't believe her. So who cares? Just find another babysitter and go out. So that's what we decided to do. We called Joe's dad, asked him last minute if he could be our babysitter instead. And we were like, I think my mom's mad at me. She's not answering. So that's what we did. We went out that night, and we went out with friends and one of my cousins. And me and Joe were telling this cousin of mine that we hadn't heard from her, and she wasn't answering any of us, and I hadn't talked to her since last Tuesday, and she was supposed to babysit and all this. And she's like, none of that sounds like your mom at all. And I was like, I know it doesn't sound like her, but I was like, maybe she's just that mad at me. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why she won't answer her door or phone. And she was like, well, I'll go over there. I know she'll answer the door for me. She's not mad at me for anything. So we hung out that night, did our thing. And then the next morning, me, Joe, and my cousin and her boyfriend at the time met up for some breakfast. And we were like, we're going to stop by my mom's again, see if she'll answer the door. She's like, I'm going with you guys. So we went there again. Her car is still in the same spot, same parking job. She wasn't answering her door again. I tried knocking on windows. I tried looking in windows. Everything was shut up and blocked and like curtains down. Like you couldn't see in there. So I don't know. I could hear the dog barking, but yeah, there was still no way in or anything. So by that time, I had made up my mind that this was not good and the cops had to be called. But I was also really
in denial.
I was in denial, but I was in denial and also freaking out at the same time, and starting to feel sick. Like I don't think I can do this. So my cousin called the cops and pretended to be me and told them what was going on. And the cops came, and they couldn't get the door open either because on both my mom's apartment doors, she had the chain lock on. And the only way to get those off is with cutters. And they had to get a permission from the apartment complex to do that. So then we waited for even longer for them to come out with the cutters to cut those things, and they had to get permission and all this stuff. So they did that, and one cop went in, and I wanted to go in, but he's like, you guys just wait here for a second. He goes in and he comes right back out, and he's like, there's no one in the bedroom, which that confused me because I was like, surely if she's in there, dead or alive, she's gonna be in her bed. I don't know why that's where my mind went, but I was like, oh, good, she's okay then, because she's not in her bed. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that is weird.
I was like, okay, and he's like, I'm gonna go check in the other rooms. So then he went back in and came back out, and it's not like how you see it on TV where a cop comes out and they're really like empathetic towards you and, you know, caring. It wasn't like that at all. This guy comes out, didn't even look me in the eye, and he was like looking down as he was walking, and he's like, she's passed. Like it was no big deal. And it took me a second to register what he said, and I screamed bloody murder. I remember screaming at the top of my lungs. I screamed no, and I think I screamed twice, and I was bawling, and I was hugging my husband, and it was really bad. And when we went in, my mom was on her couch in her living room. Other family members started showing up, like people were calling other people in the family and telling them, and they were all showing up. The coroner showed up, like all these people were showing up. We were there for quite a while. Like it felt like forever that we were standing outside in the heat and talking to cops, and like it felt so long. I think Joe asked me something, and I was just like, no, I just want to go get the kids. I just want to, like, all I could think of was, I want to go get my kids. I want my kids. I just have to tell my kids. Because my kids were very, very close to my mom. She loved her grandkids more than anything. I was really close to my mom. I would say that I was closer to my mom than probably even most people are with their parents. Like, she was my best friend. So we finished doing all that, and after the cops and everything left, we went inside because me and a couple cousins, we were looking for something. We were looking for her phone, but something else. We were looking for her phone and her purse, maybe? Her phone and something else. We couldn't find her phone for like 3 days. We ended up finding it right next to her couch where she died, inside a sock. She was using the sock as like a cover for her phone. We found all kinds of weird things that she had. Like, she had written notes about, so for her brother's wedding, she was invited to a bridal shower, and on the paper that she wrote the directions to this place, she wrote dead by then ? So she thought she was going to be dead by then. She knew she was going to be dead by then. Like, she knew something was wrong with her. Did she know something was wrong with her and not tell anyone? Like, that same day 3 months ago that me and her were hanging out and going shopping and stuff, me and her were at a store, and she kept offering to buy me all of these clothes, and I was like, no, Mom, save your money. And she's like, no, it's fine, I'm gonna die soon anyway. And that was like the second or third time I had heard her say something like that before, and I was like, why do you keep saying that? You're not gonna die, like, whatever. Like, I wish I had taken that more seriously, you know, but I didn't. I thought she was just being dramatic. But then I saw the paper dead by then, and I was like, she had to have known something was wrong with her, or her mind was tricking her into thinking that somebody was really after her.
Yeah, because it still doesn't make sense, because the way she died doesn't add up with her knowing anything was wrong.
Yeah. So basically, we had an autopsy done, and later that afternoon, we found out that, I mean, in basic terms, she died of a heart attack. I don't know how to describe it. I don't remember the terminology or any of that, but basically a heart attack. And she was only 60. Like, she was young. Another weird thing about that is one of her brothers and one of her sisters also died at the age of 60. That's weird. The other weird thing is the day that we found her was September 10th, 2017. And that was also the 1 year anniversary, September 10th, 2016, that my grandma died on my dad's side of the family. So that was weird. And then also September 7th or something of 2016, her brother died. Like, my mom's brother died. So, and her mom also died in September. They're all September. It's crazy.
Weird.
And my birthday was 2 days away. Like, it was my birthday in 2 days, and then it was also my anniversary in a couple of weeks. And I just remember, like, feeling like nothing is worth anything anymore. Nothing matters anymore. I can't be happy again. I can't celebrate my birthday ever again. I can't celebrate my anniversary ever again. Like, nothing makes me happy anymore. I remember feeling that way. But yeah. So anyway, when we left, we went straight to my father-in-law's house to see the kids. Her peepaw. And I think that I was so upset, I wasn't even able to get the words out. So Joe sat them down and told them.
It was weird the way you guys did it. Like, I don't know. To me, it was weird. Dad came in first, and you were behind him. And the look in Dad's eyes, I knew it was the truth, but I remember thinking he was lying at first. Because, like, we were sitting at the table.
I think you even said nuh-uh or something.
Yeah, I was like, no way. But, like, I knew it because his eyes were, like, watering and his face was, like, red. And he was like, your grandma passed away. And then I started bawling.
Do you remember much else about the day?
Vividly, I remember it. I remember, like, everything that happened after that, too. Like, I remember everything vividly, which is really weird. Like, the whole, like, next several months, I remember everything.
It wasn't like that for me. I went home that night. Like, we went to lunch with the family. We also went to a cousin's house with some of the family and hung out. I don't remember any specifics of any of that stuff, but I remember doing that. And then I remember coming home, and apparently we all watched a movie. And I didn't know that we watched a movie. Like, I wasn't there mentally. And they were like, we just watched that movie. And I was like, I didn't watch anything.
Yeah, you didn't remember it.
I did not
watching it.
I, to this day, do not recall sitting down and watching a movie with them. I probably sat there just an empty shell and just dreamed, like daydreamed.
Yeah.
So that's how my mom died. That's how I found out. It was very traumatic because it was like this 3-day thing. It was me thinking that she was mad at me and that's why she wouldn't answer the door. And it was traumatic because Friday and Saturday she wouldn't answer the door. She wouldn't answer the phone. Like, why won't she just answer the phone? Why won't she just text me back and say, sorry, I'm not going to babysit? It was very traumatic for me. That the fact that it wasn't just one day I found out my mom died. It was like the whole weekend was an event in itself.
Yeah, and it was really sudden. And I remember she felt guilty because she waited until after her birthday party.
Yeah.
Well, not party, but you know what I mean. She waited until after to do that, and she felt guilty about that.
I felt really bad. I was like, I'm a horrible daughter.
I was glad you did that. Because not only was I not there, but, like, I was glad because you got, like, that one last night to, like, have fun, you know? Before you found out.
I don't know. I feel bad for it because it's like I was being selfish.
You wouldn't have known.
Well, yeah, I had no way of knowing that my mom was actually dead, and she was actually laying there dead, and I actually needed to call the cops. Like, there was no way to know that, but at the same time, I still chose to wait one more day to call the cops that she was okay, and I cared about myself and my party, and that's just how I felt, and that's still how I feel. Like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because even though I didn't believe that she was in there dead, I had enough gut feeling and enough bad feeling to know something wasn't right. I was trying to convince myself that she was mad at me.
But
I was trying to convince myself that she took her hearing aids out and she couldn't hear me, or she was in the shower. I was trying to convince myself of that, but I didn't really believe it. I thought something's wrong.
it wouldn't have made a difference, though. Because they said even if you were right there, you couldn't have done anything.
Yeah, I mean, if they had told me different, then I would hate myself. They said that if she had that exact same kind of heart attack in the hospital, there still would have been a near zero chance that she could have made it, even if she was surrounded by doctors. Which I guess makes me feel better knowing that literally nothing I could have done would have changed it, but it's still the fact that I waited 2 days. I don't know. I feel really bad about that, and yeah, it bothers me a lot, and I actually have PTSD from that whole weekend. If I talk about my mom, I purposely don't talk about the super sad stuff, and I purposely try to remember funny memories and things like that, because I don't really want to live in that space again where everything was awful right after she died. Everything was bad. Really bad.
It all felt like a movie. Like it was traumatic for me too. Like it was like really like a dark time. Everything was just weird, and I felt like everyone looked at me and my mom crazy because like we couldn't just get over it, and like people were like talking to her, like I guess like questioning why she was so sad about it, because yeah, your parents die, and like her family members, their parents have already died, but they were sick for years or whatever, you know? And so like they looked at her weird for not being able to get over it, and then I felt bad because the fact that my mom couldn't get over it, and then like she wasn't even my mom, she was my grandma, and I was like suffering too, really bad, and it hit me really hard. So I felt guilty for feeling that way.
Yeah, people shouldn't ever make you feel guilty or bad for not grieving the way they think you should grieve, or not grieving like, you know, fast enough, or, you know, whatever. Everyone grieves differently. I know I grieve differently. When it came to my mom, I was in denial for probably the first 2 years. Like I spent the first 2 years, it's only been 3 years, and I spent the first 2 years not acknowledging that she died. I spent that time pretending that, oh, we just hadn't seen each other in a while, and oh, she's on vacation, and oh yeah, we need to get together soon sometime, and like I was trying to trick myself into thinking that she didn't die. She was just, we just hadn't hung out in a while. That's what I did for the first 2 years. Eventually, I started realizing that that's not good and stuff, but it's still really hard for me to believe, even now, that she's gone, and because she's still so much a part of my life. I still go to her old house where she lived with my stepdad and my sister.
Well, they still live there.
They still live there. You can still find handwritten notes that she would leave all over the house at that house. Like, don't forget to take off your shoes, and, you know, stuff like that.
We have her old clothes.
Have her old
And
clothes.
they smell like her.
Yeah.
I just remember it also being really confusing because, like, not only just, like, for everyone, but I was 13, so this is, like, my first, like, really big, like, terrible thing that's happened to me. And so I was just, like, confused the whole time because I didn't understand why or how she died. And I didn't understand, like, because when she was alive and they were like, oh, she's crazy, I would always, like, defend her and be like, she's not crazy. And then after she died, I was like, was she actually, like, not fully there mentally my whole life? And so then I just started going into spirals of being confused about that for a long time.
I did too.
Which made me more sad because I was just like, was she ever actually there?
I wondered that too. I was like, was she normal when I was 8 years old? Or was she crazy then too?
Or like, were we as close as I thought we were? Those types of things.
No, you were. I think that later on, just the last couple years of her life, something broke and she started to lose it. I don't think she was crazy back then. I don't think she was crazy in my childhood. I don't think she was crazy when you were little. I think something happened.
She was like a different person.
Yeah.
And all the outside people, like, we went to Denny's right after the funeral, and, like, the waiters were all like, oh, she was such a sweet lady. Yeah. Everyone knew her as this sweet lady because she was an angel.
Everyone in town knew her. Yeah, she went to Denny's a lot, so all the wait staff there knew her. I heard a story from somebody at this place where she would go get her car fixed, and she thanked them one day for always helping her, and she gave every employee there like a $25 gift card to somewhere, and there was quite a few employees. Like, she just, money was no object to her. She was just like, you know, always wanting to help people and give people things. Mm-hmm. And you know, those are the things that define who she was, not the last couple years of her life where she started to kind of lose her mind a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's what describes who she was as a person.
She was very generous.
She was always literally the best mom in the world.
Started conversations with literally anyone and everyone. Every stranger. Like, we would sit at, like, we sat at a gas station out of town, I think, on our Indiana trip. And she talked to the cashier for, like, 20 minutes. About, like, nothing.
If you knew her in real life, then you were one lucky person. She was the best. The whole process after that of, like, planning for a funeral and things like that, it was so hard. But the thing that made it the hardest for me is that not even all of my family and friends was there for me at that time. And it sounds weird even saying that out loud. The fact that any person can lose a mother and you have somebody not be there for you. But that happened to me, and it made me not ever trust people again. I don't trust anybody anymore, because who I thought was supposed to be my family and people that were there for me, they were not. Mm-hmm. So I don't trust anyone anymore. And I was treated poorly at my own mother's funeral by a couple of these people, and I didn't even do anything to them. They were taking things personally, things that happened that were not my decision, but they all blamed it on me. Things that were out of my control and not my fault. But that whole time, I was just like, I can't even grieve at my mom's funeral because all these people are treating me like shit right now. Mm-hmm. And that's so fucked up.
Which is another thing, like, some people were so nasty to her that even my dad, he's not one to, like,
stir the pot.
Like, stir the pot or, like, raise his voice and be, like, I don't know, start an argument with people random. He just, like, kind of keeps to himself about things, and he doesn't want to, like, confront people and stuff. But even my dad defended her because they got so, like, nasty towards her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really bad. Some of those people I still don't talk to this day. And other ones, my relationship with them, even though I have one, it's strained now. And it's never going to go back to normal. But,
yeah,
you know, you learn who your true friends are when you're going through something major. Mm-hmm. And I lost friends in that process. And, you know, at the time I thought, what bullshit. But now it's like, well, you know, I'm glad that they're not in my life then, because if that's what they do to their friends when their friend needs you the most, you know, it's like, yeah, I can't imagine doing that to somebody, what they did to me.
I lost my best friend at the same time too. She started arguing with me at the funeral, like, through text, and I had to tell her, I'm at a funeral. Can you stop?
Savannah's old Girl Scout leader, the same night my mom died, sent me a message. I was at my cousin's house when she sent me this, and it said something like, I really need XYZ. I need you to send me this and that. Whatever XYZ was. I don't even remember. Mm-hmm. But she needed me to send her something. And I messaged her back, and I said, sorry, I just found out my mom died. I'll have to get back to you. Something like that. And instead of being a normal person and saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry for your loss, just get back to me whenever you can. These are things a normal person would say, not her. No. Her answer was, well, I really need you to send it to me. Not one thing about, I'm sorry about your mom, not one thing about any of that. Just, well, I need you to send it, blah, 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 blah. I lost my mind. I was so pissed when I read that. It was like the first emotion I felt after being so sad all day was this instantaneous anger at her for doing that.
Yeah.
I was like, that is bullshit.
when we went to the funeral, I wasn't expecting to cry because I'm not like I don't know, I've been to funerals before that and I never cried, and like I was like, oh, I'm not gonna cry. And then as soon as we saw, like, there were like big like poster boards of pictures of her, as soon as we saw that, I started bawling, which was weird for me because I did not expect that to happen. It just like came out of me.
The first time I bawled, like, aside from when I first found out she died, was about a week or 2 weeks later, after we finished clearing out my mom's apartment. I had to go turn her key in, and I knew it was going to be the last time I ever saw her apartment, and I went inside and walked around just to see it one last time, and then I went over to where her couch was, and I sat there on the floor, and I bawled so much, and I started profusely apologizing to her. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Like I had everything in the world to be sorry for. I was just apologizing over and over to her, and I was bawling and crying. And then I, like, wiped my tears off, and I got together as I could, drove down to the manager's office to turn in the key. As soon as I walked inside, I thought I was fine, but then I wasn't. All of a sudden I started bawling in front of that guy too, and it felt weird. Like, I don't cry in front of people. I just don't do that. Usually if I'm really upset about something, I'll take myself and remove myself. I'll go in the bathroom, I'll go sit in the car. Like, I don't cry in front of people. So that was weird that I just started crying in front of that guy that I didn't even know. And then I got out to the car, and I called my older sister, and I was crying, and then she yelled at me for even going there by myself in the first place. I shouldn't have done that. And then anytime after that I cried, I would go in the bathroom. I would only cry in the bathroom. If my kids started to cry, missing grandma, I would try to be there in a way and comfort them, but I couldn't stay for more than a couple minutes because I knew then I would start crying. So then I would leave the room while they were crying, and I would go cry.
Never cried in front of us. Yeah, you like never ever did. And like it's just so weird to me how vividly I remember every single event that happened. Like, I remember when we went to Denny's and like things that happened at that dinner. I remember I skipped a day of school because I didn't want to go back, and so we went to the apartment together, and we went to Smoothie King, and then we got there and like started going through her stuff. And I remember, like, we went to Kohl's, I think it was like a couple months after or something, or maybe the next month, and we got in the car, and I was crying on the way home. Really? Yeah, and I remember sitting on my bed looking through pictures of us and crying, and you walked in and you were like, stop doing that.
Yeah, I do remember that one, because by then it had been probably a couple months since she died, and I could hear her from the living room. She was in her bedroom crying, and so I walked in and I saw her looking at old pictures of my mom, and I was just like, just don't do that then. Like, I was so cold about it. Like, just don't look at the pictures then.
I felt so bad. I was like, wow, she really thinks I'm just doing it to myself by looking at the pictures.
No.
I thought you were mad at me.
No, for me, it was like, don't do that to yourself. You know?
Yeah, you were like, don't look at the pictures then. Put it away.
Yeah, I was telling you not to do that to yourself, but in a way that was like, don't in turn do that to me, where I have to sit out here and listen to you cry. Because then it just reminds me of what I lost when I'm trying so hard to forget. You know what I mean? That was a lot of it too. Like, I would just try to pretend like it never happened. That's legit what I did. I tried to pretend like she never died. It never happened. And so anytime somebody would cry about it or something, I would get mad because they were fucking up my whole thing of, if she didn't really die. I was trying to convince myself it didn't happen.
Yeah. I took it really, really, really hard in a completely different way. Like, I was constantly thinking about it and like crying all the time and like thinking about all these old memories and stuff, and like
I did that too, but you guys just didn't see it.
Yeah, you never showed it to us. And whenever I talked to you about it, I felt bad because I didn't want to upset you. Because you were her daughter, you know? And, like, I don't know. It was, like, my grades dropped really, really bad that year. And then that year we were also fighting for, like, a 504 and stuff. And, like, we just had a lot going on. Yeah. And, like, it was, like, really, really, really stressful that year with so many things.
Everyone grieves differently. To the people who never saw me cry, you're not alone. I didn't let anybody see me cry. I did cry all the time, but I just did it behind closed doors. I don't know why it was so important for me to not cry in front of other people. Mm-hmm. I can't even answer that. I don't really know why.
I'm uncomfortable crying in front of people. It makes me feel worse for some reason.
I think it's different every time. I think sometimes it's like, don't feel bad for me. I don't want you to hug me because if you hug me, that's just going to make me cry harder. Yeah. That's part of it sometimes.
I think you also were trying to protect us.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to cry in front of the kids because I didn't want to upset them even more than they already were upset because, like I said, they were very close to my mom.
We saw her all the time.
Yeah.
Every time she was stressed out, she would say, all right, we're going to see Grandma.
Anyway, this video is getting really long. I'm going to see if I can cut it down a lot. So, for anyone who has been wondering why I don't talk much about my mom and how she died, that is how she died. It royally fucked me up. You know what I did not mention in this video that I probably should mention? My dad is still alive. I don't speak to him. As soon as my mom died, I texted him and I said, I feel like I'm an orphan now. I was like, oh my God, I'm an orphan. Because my dad don't talk to me. I have not spoken to him in 10 years. I was, I think, 29 the last time I talked to him. Skylar was 2.
That's crazy.
And it's not that I haven't tried. I text him all the time, but
I've even tried.
He reads our texts and then he ignores them. He doesn't ever reply. So yeah. He lives like 2 minutes up the road from me too. But I tried. He won't. So I do feel like an orphan, and it sucks because I used to be a big daddy's girl. But that all went down the drain. I do have my stepdad, who sometimes I call dad. I've known him since I was like 10 or 11 years old. That's Brittany's dad. So, I have him.
Yeah, so he's been in even our lives, our entire lives.
Their whole life, yeah.
So he was like another grandpa to us.
Yeah, they call him Grandpa Stomper.
Yeah.
All right, so that's that. If you have any more questions, you can leave them in the comment section. And if there's anything else you want to know, let me know. If you have any ideas of, like, if you think talking about this more might be somewhat helpful in another video, is like talking about grief or losing a parent or, something along those lines.
Other story times.
Yeah, if there's other things similar to that you think that I would be able to help people with, let me know that too. I can definitely try to do that. But yeah, there's that story. All right, so that is going to be the end of this video. Leave a like and a comment and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys next time.
Bye, poopies.